One of the highlights of maybe it's a low light, but nobody will ever forget it. The famous story about Vader attacking a television host overseas, and it all was born out of the guy asking, basically, is wrestling fake? And Vader knows he's there by the company to sell tickets. I don't think that went the way everybody planned. What were you hearing about it at the time, and what did you hear about it after the fact?
So we had been to South Africa, I believe. Now, I had this wrong with Jake, too, so I could have this wrong as well. We could have been on Mars. Who knows? We could have been anywhere. We were in South Africa, and then a bunch of the guys went to Kuwait to work. Briscoe was there with me in South Africa. He went to Kuwait. Me and Wyndham were in South Africa. We went home. We didn't go to Kuwait, so I wasn't there when it happened, but I heard Jerry and Taker tell the whole story. So apparently before the interview, they gave him a list of questions, and like number 9 or 10 was, is it fake? But the guy said he wasn't going to ask it. So anyway, Taker says, I'll handle it if he does. No big deal. The guy starts with it. The guy double-crossed him. Start with it. Now, Leon has said that, they wanted him to do something. I don't know if any of that's true or not. That very well could be true. They could say, hey, do something. I don't think they wanted him to grab him, but don't know what they told him. So when they ask him that, look at Taker. Taker's sitting like that the entire time, even while Leon is assaulting this man. Yeah. Taker never blinks. It is so freaking cool. So then Leon gets up, grabs this guy. Is this fake? Is this fake? Leon's trying to create something here. He's trying to create some interest. He's also pissed off. He's been traveling, for half a day to get there. And they put him under house arrest. So he's assaulted this reporter. They put him under like a hotel arrest. So he can't leave the hotel. So he's stuck there. And, you got to hear Vince tell the stories. Leon would call him, I'm going to the hotel gym. And Vince go, Leon, just go to the gym. I don't care. Just go. Just don't leave the hotel. We're trying to get you out. So the special forces in the military go talk to Briscoe, who's in charge, and said, hey, man, you guys got a problem here with one of your guys? And Briscoe says, yeah. He goes, we have ways to sneak guys out of the country. They were going to put him in a crate, like an elephant, and put him in a crate and fly him to like Paris and then let him out with the other elephants or so, whatever they were going to do. They literally were going to put him in a crate and fly him out of the country and sneak him out. The special forces were. That's what they offered. And so Briscoe calls Vince, and Vince is going to let Briscoe do what he thinks best because Vince is not on the ground. He goes, are you going to do this? And Jerry goes, no, I'm not going to do it. Vince goes, thank God. So they offered to sneak Leon out of there, but Leon ends up stuck there for a while. They left him, it wasn't like they left him in the middle of nowhere. They had lawyers and all kinds of stuff taking care of him, but it wasn't as bad as people say as far as them leaving him. They did leave him, but what are you going to do? Have the whole crew stay with him?
Right.
So anyway, they finally ended up getting some sheik or something to talk the guy down off the ledge, the reporter or whatever it was. And they got Leon out of it, but they had the special forces offered to do Operation Sneak Vader out of the country.
My gosh, what a crazy story he had. I hate that he didn't have a better run in the WWF. And I know that we often say on this program that timing is everything, but in an alternate universe, instead of Vader jumping onto the WCW train in 91, if he would have come in to the WWF and had the Vince McMahon machine behind him for Hogan and then later Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, and he would have been established alongside all of those guys, I think his career looks a whole heck of a lot differently, doesn't it?
I think so. He had a great career, but I think if he goes to WWE during that time, and you try Warrior after Hogan and it ends up not working, you put a big heel in there, that works. I think everything changes. The matches he could have had with Bret Hart, those would have been legendary.
Yes.
How good those would have been. Those guys could have had a 4 or 5 year run together. That would have been amazing. And then Shawn, when he came on the scene with that Vader, those matches, the way Shawn flew around, the way Shawn could work with Sid. Vader was a lot better than Sid. And, Sid was a great presence. Don't get me wrong. Sid
Yes.
was fantastic. Sid was fantastic, but Leon could just work. He and Sean could have had incredible matches. He and Razor, he and Diesel, Taker, those guys could have done some incredible business. I think he'd have gone down even bigger. I think everybody would unanimously say he's the greatest big man of all time if he'd have gone to WWE instead of WCW.
He's one of the great what ifs in pro wrestling. We're talking about Big Van Vader. We are live here, so we're going to try to get some of your questions. If you've got some questions, this is your last call for JBL here. Instagram, a wrestling historian says, was Vader stiff with you, and do you think you like working stiff? We've heard that word thrown around for you. Do you think you guys had similar styles? Was he too stiff for you?
No, good Lord, no. I loved it. I loved every second of it. I preferred it that way. You're when you're working, maybe because I couldn't work light, maybe that was part of it. But when you're working light, sometimes you're not sure. When you're working stiff, it looks good. And I always thought, people pay money, that work hard. And no, I loved working with Vader. I loved every single match I had with him. It was so much fun being out there with him. We never called anything in the back. We just went out there and beat each other up, and it was a lot of fun. Vader, people talk about Vader would take advantage of people, and I understand what happened with the one guy that that got hurt. He should have took better care of him on the power bomb. I'm not excusing that, but Leon loved working stiff, and he loved taking it the same way. After the Hansen match, he hugged Stan with his eyeball hanging out. So, that was great. After the Kane match, I was there. He hugged Glenn. Man, it was awesome. Just loved it. Leon really enjoyed it, and I did too. I enjoyed working with the snug guys because you knew that you're putting in a hard night of work, and I thought that was important.
Ashley Scott Music wants to know, do you think Hogan was as political or worse than Flair and Dusty? I don't think you spent a lot of time politically with Dusty or Flair,
Nope.
but you've certainly heard these narratives out there. Do you have an opinion about this question?
I have an opinion on Hogan. Yeah, absolutely. We asked him to do some stuff one time, and they said, "Oh, Hogan won't do it." I forget what it was. I went and I saw him, and I said, Hulk was so generous with his time. He was so nice to work with. I remember one time I brought my kids from Bermuda, and I worked, an at-risk, program with kids, a bunch of kids who had never been off the island, and we brought them over for a rugby event, and I took them to where Hogan was taping a TV show. Hogan had a bad back, and he was the only star that got up, and he limped over and took pictures with every single one of those kids. I mean, they meant the world to those kids. They'll talk about that for the rest of their life. I've had nothing but great interactions with Hogan.
AOTV Productions is with us here this morning, and he wants to know, hey, John, what did you think of Triple H taking a shot at quote-unquote old-timer podcasters? Do you think you qualify as that now, John?
I'm old, and I guess I'm a podcaster, so I guess I'm one of those guys. I have no problem with it. It's his opinion. Just you have a right to his opinion. He's running the company, and he's doing a great job. And he's. I can see his point. My point about like kayfabing now, and I'm not as big. I don't think that everybody has to kayfabe, but I think you need a couple stars that there's a blurred line of people that they wonder about. There's a mystique about. And I think if you want to create an image that draws money, you look at the Paul brothers who've done a great job, Jake and Logan Paul. They never get out of character. Maybe it's not their character. Maybe it's them, but they draw money that way. Conor McGregor was drawing money when he never went out of, some of UFC fighters would hype up a fight. Then after it was done, go, oh, that was just hype. We really like each other. The guys that stayed in character the whole time, they're the guys that drew money. And so it's not about just kayfabing. I have no problem with what Hunter said whatsoever. They're drawing huge crowds. And so I have some issues with doing with revealing kayfabe in the current product. When you're talking about 30 years ago, it seems different to me. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But they're doing something right. And Hunter's leading that.
SaveWithConrad.com.
Yeah, I'm Justin Ruffin from Knoxville, Tennessee. What got me to Save with Conrad was the 83 Weeks podcast. I really wasn't thinking about getting rid of any debt. I just wanted to cash out some equity in the house to do remodeling. But I did both, so that was pretty awesome. Worked out great. We redid the foyer, built pantry space, and there's like little odds and ends when I first bought the house that I wanted to take care of, and we were able to take care of it. So, yeah, paid off 2 cars and some credit card debt. So probably all in all, get $30,000 in that. And then I got some $30,000 more equity out of the house, and still plenty of equity left over. So payment's good. I lowered my interest rate. I'm in a much better spot than I was. Super easy. Everybody was great. Very, very awesome people. Francis and Steve were great to work with. They're awesome. Made it for a very easy, seamless experience. I'd probably say all in all, probably $1,000 a month at least. I'm lowered my interest rate, especially the way the interest rates are right now, which is, that's amazing. I'm Justin Bruckman from Knoxville, Tennessee. I saved over $1,000 with SaveWithConrad.com, and I did a lot of renovations with that money as well.
NMLS number 2129, Equal Housing Lender. SaveWithConrad.com.